Welcome to In Studio. I'm Ian Butterfield. In this video, I'm going to be interviewing New to Photos Rick Bradbury and discussing with him his photography, his Photographic Heroes, and of course New to Photo. Welcome to In Studio.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Right. In the introduction, I introduced you as being from the New to Photo podcast.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Certainly, New to Photo, that's newtophoto.com. Okay, it's a website and podcast that myself and a good friend of mine, Mark Bodie, started about a year ago now, probably a little bit more than a year ago, just about. And the podcast is just a podcast or show where we both kind of sit over Skype, we kind of shoot the breeze, chat about photography, answer some listener questions as well.
Yep.
We tend to go off on some tangents during the podcast, but it's a format that seems to be working. And it's now on a website which has a page for the podcast, as well as a couple of blogs on there as well, where we post blog posts writing about photography, along with tutorials as well. And a series of tutorial videos also, which are on YouTube. There's two YouTube channels for New to Photo. There's New to Photo and NTP Advanced. Okay, the New to Photo one teaches the basic stuff, and NTP Advanced covers some of the more advanced stuff. In particular, at the moment, we're going through some stuff doing off-camera lighting.
Right, sounds interesting. And where people can watch the videos via the New to Photo website?
They certainly can do, yeah. We embed the videos along with the blog post with any sample images or images which were, say, taken during the video tutorial as well. And of course, the videos are on YouTube if you prefer viewing them that way. Also, so it's,
what's the YouTube URL for that?
It's youtube.com/New to Photo or NTP Advanced.
Right. Okay, thank you. Tell me a little bit about how you got into photography.
I started with a little compact point-and-shoot camera, otherwise known as a little Sony T3, I think it was called, 5-megapixel thing.
Yeah.
5x zoom, and it was really thin, so you could stick it in your pocket and carry it with you everywhere. It shot JPEG, didn't shoot RAW like these DSLRs, but no problem. That's what I started with. From there, I moved up to a bridge camera or super zoom, which had more manual control. Sony H50 that was. I stayed with Sony at that point because that was all that I knew. So I went to a Sony, and then my good friend or co-host on New to Photo, Mark, introduced me to DSLRs.
Yes.
Namely a Canon 350D. I borrowed his old one. We went walking around Albert Docks in Liverpool. Once I'd shot with that, that was it. I was kind of hooked on the flexibility of that platform.
Yes.
And I eventually got my own in, I think it was September of 2000, is it 2008 or 2009? Somewhere around there.
And what camera was that?
That was, again, it was a Canon. So I did my research, went out and tried the cameras, had a budget as well, and then got the Canon 500D. The 500D, it's a little bit synonymous with me because I've got on my website, rjbradbury.com, a series of tutorial videos specific to that camera.
Right.
And I've been amazed at how well they've done, how popular they've been, given the fact it's a very specific kind of video and tutorial about a specific kind of camera. The tutorials that I've done can be used with the other XXD, like the 450, the 550, the 600D, otherwise known as the T2i, T3is.
Yes.
Why they chose different names, I don't know. So they're very, very similar, so they can be used for that. And they've been viewed all over the world, India, Asia, Germany, and built up a good subscriber base around it.
Oh, good to know. So, you've been helping new photographers.
Yeah.
In many ways, you're a relatively new photographer yourself.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out with their photography?
Okay, certainly. I mean, I've been shooting now for about 8 years, which isn't really any great length of time compared to people. I mean, wow, the likes of Joe McNally's been doing it for 30 years. Yourself, you've been shooting for...
Well, full time for 9 years, and Since I was about that high,
Yeah.
I've always used cameras.
Yeah, so it's, I've not got a mass amount of time under my belt, so I'm certainly still learning myself whenever I shoot. And I've learned a lot from the photography industry, from people that I've met like yourself, people within the local community, the online community certainly as well. That's kind of exploded over the last few years with social network. And I've learned a lot from there, so it's kind of my way of paying that back as well. Through the tutorials for the 500D and Utaphoto. Now, advice to give people getting started. There's a minefield of stuff to learn, all the technical side of things. There's a ton of different routes you could go regarding purchasing cameras and gear. Take your time. You don't have to learn everything straight away, and you don't have to buy the latest and greatest to get good results. You can start with what you have, maybe the compact camera or a bridge camera. If you're looking to invest into a DSLR, then set your budget, stick to the budget, and go and get hands-on after reading some reviews, maybe online or in magazines. It's important to get hands-on because you need to get a feel for the camera body, because it's going to be with you for a while. It needs to feel comfortable, well laid out. It's like with me, I chose Canon over Nikon because I preferred the layout of the menus and the feel of the camera bodies. They will both do the same job, doesn't matter. But go and get hands-on and try them in your local store. And stick to your budget. The camera bodies you'll change every few years. Lenses will stay with you, so invest in the glass.
There's an old saying, always buy the best glass you can afford.
Certainly,
I think the emphasis there is on what you can afford as well.
Very, very much so, I mean, the lenses will stay with you for life. Just bear in mind when you are buying lenses, just a quick tip to throw out there, is that some lenses are geared towards the crop sensor cameras, these cameras with smaller sensors. Others will work on both those and the full frame counterparts. It's worth probably investing in the full frame lenses if you can, thinking ahead to the future.
Tell me, who are your photographic heroes? Who inspires you?
Well, a lot of people, the people that I've met personally as well. It could be a piece of work that they've done, a certain way that they've shot something. I mean, there are some big name people that I follow, which will be well known, which I'll say in a moment. But in terms of inspiration, it can be found everywhere on the internet these days. You've got some great work that's on Flickr, although it's harder to find stuff on Flickr these days because there's so much. 500 pixels, there's some stunning work on 500 pixels. And there's probably a lot of good work I've not seen by people who I don't know exist out there yet. So you can dig around from certain types. I like to look at work that's, I look at portrait work, because I do a lot of that. I know that's coming a bit later on. But I'll look at other kind of work as well and see if I can incorporate that into stuff that I do. So you don't have to look at the same kind of stuff you shoot, you can look elsewhere. But Photographic Heroes, or the big people that follow me, you've got people like Chase Jarvis, he's putting a lot of stuff out there. Very successful commercial photographer, lifestyle photography. You've got shooters like Joe McNally, who's been shooting for 30 years. He's got some great stuff, and I've recently read a couple of his books that I've really enjoyed. It's the way that he puts the information across. It's very, very entertaining, very funny. My biggest photographic hero is hands down Zach Harris. Some people may know who he is, some people may not. If I say One Light, that may ring some bells as well, as he runs things like the One Light Workshop. I'm yet to go on one of those, and even though I'm comfortable with the lighting, the basics of it, absolutely, if he comes over to the UK with that, I'm booking. I love the guy's work, how he shoots, and his whole philosophy around photography as well. He's built himself up cash only, not going into debt. He doesn't go out and he doesn't run the latest and greatest gear. He's built up to the level where he is now, and the equipment that he's got. Zach Harris is one of my photographic heroes. I've not met the guy ever personally, but I've learned indirectly a lot from him. And as others around me as well, like yourself and others that I meet, we've got on shoots and so forth. There's so much to learn within photography. You can't know it all. You constantly learn every time you work with someone new in front of your camera, or every time you shoot, certainly. And I would really love to shoot a portrait of Zach Harris myself, him being the photographic hero. Wow, would I be nervous doing that? I've kind of got some ideas on how I'd do it, but it was certainly interesting to do.
Let's look at you as a photographer. What type of photography do you enjoy doing?
My type is definitely portraiture. love portraiture, be that in studio or on location. I do a lot of stuff lit with off-camera lights, but I also enjoy shooting natural light as well. You can get some great light from windows, natural daylight with cloud cover, or in the golden hour, beginning of the end of the day, certainly. So it's time. It's time to turn the strobes off. With portraiture, be that environmental or doing studio-based full-length headshots and so forth, I really enjoy doing as well. Portraiture-wise, I've done family stuff, personal work that I'm doing myself as well, based around portraiture, with a new project that's been announced as well, that I'm working through. And I've really enjoyed the whole community around shooting portraiture and the studio side of things and photography around all that, but it seems to be a popular genre. Quite difficult to do because you've got a person to work with in front of the camera. It's not just stick them in front of the camera and shoot away, there's more to it. Which is why learning all the technical aspects of it are important, because that frees you up to work with your subject. The camera's a tool at the end of the day, so don't let it become a barrier.
Talking about projects, I believe you've just announced a new project called Hardlight.
Yes, hashtag Hardlight, or HRD, then the word light. The reason why I gave it that title is something a little bit different, and I send out blog posts, and not so much the images, because I don't really send my personal work out on Twitter directly, but links to the images where they're hosted with that hashtag to kind of tie it all together on social media. I tend to use Twitter more than I use the other social media, so that's why I've kind of gone down that title route. But I've been meaning to start a personal project for some time, and I thought, I just need to go and do it, get it started, pick one and do it, because I had a load of ideas in my head and some written down. I just need to pick one kind of a theme, one certain kind of a project, and just go with it. I've tried the 365s and failed twice. And it's just, I'm so focused on the portraiture stuff that I shoot. I think I wanted something more geared towards that. And I didn't like having to shoot an image every day, kind of thing. I don't know, it just didn't suit the way that I work. So I wanted a project
that sort of thing's not for everyone.
I could work over time.
As people watching this may well know, I do a lot of the photo of the day type of things, and for me it's a case of the discipline of and having to meet a deadline. And as a professional, deadlines are everything, so that sort of project suits me, and it gets me focused on, I've got to produce something. Whereas I think the Hardlight one, where it's pushing the bounds in a different way.
It certainly is, I mean, it's a personal project. I'm not saying I wouldn't include client work with that, maybe it could well do. If I'm working with a client, I'm going to get their stuff done first, then I'm going to shoot for myself during that shoot. If I get something for that project, awesome. If not, okay, no problem. So I'm not necessarily going after a particular type of person for it, it's portraiture in general. And it's all based around using hard light.
But what is hard light, for the sake of anyone who doesn't know?
Okay, hard light. Now you've got two kinds of lights, or two basic genres of light, if you like. You've got hard light and soft light. Soft light is things with portraits that you would see taken using soft boxes really close in, big umbrellas really close in. And the softer the light source, the larger it is in relative size to your subject. So you bring that in really nice and close, and you get nice lit side of the face and nice open shadows on the other side. If you were to use a smaller light source, say like a bare speed light, I mean that thing's tiny. Really small, it's probably about the size of a mobile phone screen, maybe thereabouts. And once you bring that in, light one side of the face, you're going to have really heavy shadow on the other side, because that's small relative to the size of your subject. Another example of that, if you look at the sun, and you might well think, well, the sun's huge. True. Is that working distance can make a light source hard. So a big 60-inch umbrella, if you take that really far away, can become more of a point light source and a hard light source. As a result, the sun's, I don't know how many miles away, I can't remember.
Millions of
miles away. So when it's up at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you get really heavy shadows. And because it's more of a point light source. So not only will I be using lights, lit portraits, I can use natural daylight as well when it's high up in the sky, where people may normally avoid shooting, and other small light sources, torches or what have you, to give that hard light look. So give me shadows, which I love, dramatic shadows.
Yeah. And it's mainly portraiture. That's the sort of
Mainly
what you normally do,
portraiture,
isn't it?
yeah. Big into portraiture at the moment. I do want to expand out of portraiture as well. To grow myself, and my weakest area is landscapes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll probably miss a landscape shot and just walk right past it where people go, oh, that's amazing, I've got to shoot that, and they'll see the shot straight away. So that's going to be something I'm going to challenge myself with as well.
Get out onto the hills.
Certainly, get out onto the hills. I'd like it to stop raining and being windy, but maybe that'll make for some interesting work as well. So I've got a few ideas I want to try, but I'm going to go out there and try some stuff on landscapes, and then possibly look for some advice from people as well, and go out with some more experienced shooters to see what I can learn. But I'm very, very focused myself personally on the portrait stuff. And that hard light project is just one type of light you can use, way of lighting. And I wanted to kind of pick that and grab it by the collars and see what I could do and see what I could experiment with.
So how are people going to get to see the hard light work that you're doing?
Okay. I'm going to be putting them eventually in a gallery on the website when it's completed. I don't want to start putting a small body of work and adding to it. So what I'll be doing is I'll be blogging each image and a little bit of information about it, and also putting it on 500 pixels as well, 500px.com/RJ Bradbury.
Yeah, written about there at the moment.
And it's kind of a dumping ground. I'm moving away from using services like Flickr, although I am on there because Utaphoto's on there as well, but the quality of work I'm seeing on 500 pixels is far beyond what I'm seeing on Flickr. You really have to look on Flickr to get to the good stuff. And it's been the same way for 10, 12 years. They don't seem to be really innovating at all with it. So
doesn't seem to be much development going on the website.
No, so I've chosen 500 pixels, which is going to be kind of a dumping ground. I'm going to have my own portfolio on my website, and then any additional work, which I still think strong, goes to 500 pixels. So, along with project images also as well.
Good. Sounds very interesting. One final question. You're on a desert island. Let's assume you've got a camera with you. You've got a standard lens, say 28 to 80 millimeter. You've got sufficient memory cards and power to be able to charge everything up. What 3 photographic accessories would you take with you to your desert island? Because you're a portrait photographer, let's assume there's people on the island for you to photograph.
Okay, good. I mean, even if there wasn't people, I'd probably still choose the same stuff and wait and hopefully photograph my rescuers. But self-portraits as well, possibly.
Yeah.
So, hands down, I've got a camera body, I've got everything else that I need. It would be a speed light.
Yeah.
So one single light source and a 60-inch convertible umbrella and a light stand. Those 3 items, definitely.
Okay, why?
Okay. As long as the light stand had an umbrella bracket attached.
Yeah, I'll let you have the umbrella.
Yeah, so it could be 4 items. The reason is because I love portraiture. Having a lighting kit in your bag, even a basic one with 1 light and 1 modifier, even without a modifier, you can do a lot more. It can extend your shooting times into the evenings as well, and you can get a ton of different looks from using just either a bare speed light or a convertible 60-inch umbrella. It's very, very flexible. I mean, a 60-inch umbrella is about 30 to 35 pounds. It's not an expensive modifier. So you can do a lot. You can even make it look like a softbox.
Yes.
So, hands down, one of those. Just don't take it out in the wind. Because the score will be wind 1, umbrella 0.
Yes. How many have you lost that way?
Only 1 so far. Only one.
Okay, well thank you very much, Rick, for joining me in the studio. I'll be having Rick back into the studio shortly, where we'll be discussing some of his photographs. So keep tuned, keep watching the videos for that. Thanks very much, Rick.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
This has been an in-studio video presentation by Ian M. Butterfield. All content and photographs are copyright their creators and may not be reproduced without prior permission. For more information, including how to subscribe to this and other videos, please visit www.ians-studio.co.uk/videos. Thank you.